Can you imagine the reaction to hearing one of your favorite child actors say, "They still show our shows, they put our shows on, and I have to pay for my own therapy"? That was Drake Bell, former Nickelodeon child star from Drake and Josh, on the 2024 Sarah Fraser Show podcast published in Variety. Growing up, Nickelodeon was a source of entertainment for many children all around America. The seemingly innocent children's channel that our parents would let us watch before heading off to school in the morning or before going to bed at night shaped many of our childhoods. However, as we and the child stars in those television series grow older, the dark reality behind the scenes has come to many viewers' attentions. The questionable jokes that went right over our heads as children to the beloved actors and actresses that have even spoken out from their personal experiences. It is clear that the lighthearted network has many more layers than it seemed. But how did the channel start, and when did things start going south behind the scenes? Nickelodeon was first launched as a national cable channel in 1979. It started with just a couple shows like Pinwheel, which there's not very many great photos of because it's from 1979, and they really weren't making a ton of money or super big at this time, but they just had a couple children's shows on all over America. However, it wasn't until 1991 through 1998 that they really consider it the golden age of Nickelodeon, where they really started making a name for themselves. This was with shows like Doug, Rocko's Modern Life, and Rugrats, 1991, when all these started gaining more popularity. It wasn't that they made live action series, other than Pinwheel, that were really gaining traction until 1994 with the show All That. It was a sketch comedy series starring people like Kenan Thompson, Kel Mitchell, Amanda Bynes, and Jamie Lynn Spears. You might know Kenan from SNL, Amanda Bynes from The Amanda Show, or Jamie Lynn Spears from Zoey 101. This is what led to Dan Schneider, who was an executive producer of All That, where he ended up creating many hit live action series later on, with Kenan and Kel in 1996, The Amanda Show in 1991, which were both spin-offs of All That, which were actors in this show right here. And he also went on to make Drake and Josh in 2004, Zoey 101 in 2005, iCarly in 2007, and Victorious in 2010. This was really the beginning of the end, was the treatment of these very child stars in these shows. Dan ended up parting with Nickelodeon in 2018 and keeping a low profile ever since. However, the conversation between Dan Schneider was really just beginning. Even after Dan split with Nickelodeon, more and more people began to speculate the intent behind some of his hit shows. Shows like iCarly had many episodes centered around children's feet and catering to creepy fetishes. Also just exploiting young actors and actresses with inappropriate jokes, as well as he was known for asking for back massages on set, which is just super creepy. While many actors remained quiet, possibly due to NDAs, fans did not. They were noticing awkward moments from behind the scenes footage on set, and conversations around the dirty jokes continued to grow. As these conversations continued to grow online for many years now, you can imagine the fan reaction to the announcement of the 2024 tell-all series, Quiet on Set, The Dark Side to Kids TV. The announcement of this series led to more people than ever partaking in the conversation. The first episode confirmed suspicions that the jokes were purposely made inappropriate, where the child stars all agreed that adults on set were laughing at jokes that they just didn't understand at the time. Also, it let the audience in on sexual assault that was happening on set that was already a public document that Brian Peck, this guy here, was arrested in 2003 and spent 16 months in jail and went on the sex offender registry, but the identity of the victim remained a secret until this series came out. To the surprise of many viewers, the one that came forward was Drake Bell, who was the star of Drake and Josh. He spoke out publicly about the abuse for the first time in 2 decades. In a 2024 article published by Variety, written by Z, it stated, Bell also explained why he decided to participate in the Quiet on Set documentary, saying that One of the directors, Emma Schwartz, was very sensitive, and he could tell that she was coming from a genuine place. In their initial interactions over email, shortly after meeting with Schwartz in person, Bell went to rehab to process some of his trauma. So obviously he is still really dealing with the hardships of what he went through even 20 years ago. However, his abuser is a free man now. He lives in Los Angeles, and his only real punishment is that he's on the sex offender registry. In a 2024 article by Veloso in Stylecaster titled "Where is Brian Peck Now? Nickelodeon Actor Spotted Since Drake Bell's Abuse Allegations," it stated in 2003, Peck, 43, was arrested on 11 charges, including sodomy, lewd act upon a child 14 or 15 by a person 10 years older. And a year later, he was sentenced to 16 months in prison, and that was now about 20 years ago. However, Dan Schneider hasn't really faced any actual punishment for these allegations towards him. And ever since the show Quiet on Set was released, he has spoken out a little bit about it. In a 2024 article by CBS News written by Brito Dance stated, "Every one of these jokes was written for a kid's audience because kids thought they were funny, and only funny." He said, "Now that we have some adults looking back at them 20 years later through their lens, they're looking at them and saying, I don't think that's appropriate for a kid's show, and I have no problem with that. Let's cut the jokes out of the show." Still, even after so many child actors have talked about how creepy he is on set, he really takes no personal responsibility, and he still stands behind his intentions with the shows. The Tell All documentary series only confirmed that the abuse behind the scenes was way worse than anyone had imagined, and that the intentions were definitely not in the right place. The person who assaulted Drake Bell is only on the sex offender registry after his 2003 sentence, but the person behind so many of the inappropriate jokes, Dan Schneider, remains free and has faced no real punishment for his behavior. He claims that he has had nothing but pure intentions behind the kids' jokes. However, the child started speaking out about the uncomfortable scenarios they were put in 20 plus years ago, as well as the jokes that they were not understanding at the time are still not enough to do anything to him. However, would you want Schneider or Peck to sit next to you or your children at a local Chick-fil-A? Not very good. That's all I have.